The reflection is that the sky have opened, and the clouds have fallen, meaning that underneath our earth, the earth is shaking because the son of the soil, the lion, have gone to rest. So it affects us all that is now the ancestors that will look upon us and see how we're going to be united. It is a set moment, but within the Almighty's will and ancestors' will, they might know why. You have to go this moment, and if we remember, it's the moment that Abraham Yambo left us in February the same time. The calamity of the sky, the calamity of the earth, the calamity of the wind of change is the same feeling we have. So it is awakening to the Namibian people. If they are awakened, they will understand what I'm trying to say. Because the calling and the calling is now upon us as Namibian citizens and nation. For that the lion have fallen. Understand? Yeah. Yeah, massively. I have experienced, and the first experience of Geingob as a young boy in the 90s is the experience of media, looking at these politicians, our elders who came from exile. You know, remember in September when he came from exile and kissed the ground, and as well myself coming from exile in June. So for us was already the experience of the lion, you know, how he come in, you know, and he was met by the two late, Tatekuru Andiba Toivo and Anton Lobowski at the airport, you see. So that experience was already an experience for me as a media. But in 2010, it was a more experience of personal connection when I was in Shanghai Expo, where I was coordinating art and culture and craft for the Namibian nation and also the Namibian pavilion, where I met with him, you know, with other delegates from tourism, and that time he was a minister of trade. It was a more humbleness for me to see how the Namibian delegates, including the former president, you know, the late president, you understand, could see the importance and could recognize our arts and culture and the performance of cultural dancing and also the performance of contemporary music, you know, my brothers Rashe Amadem, Big Mama, Erna, the late Ahue, you know, Section Waengo, so, and then the Rimani group as well, you know, so it was a very powerful moment for us as artists also to have him as a Minister of Trade that moment, because it's trade, you know, and more spiritually it happens then to meet him through my great Ndengu and Ibatoiva Toivo during his celebration of birthdays when I used to run the birthdays of the late legend and Ibatoiva Toivo, and let them rest in peace. And as well the lion is going to meet the Ndengu in the spirit world. As a African, the spirit is still alive, as though we're mourning. So through there is where I met him, and it's where the late Andiba also spoke to me individually, you know, when we were in Cape Town with the Tatekuru Helao Shitungshiwete, you see. So where politics came into my mind, and was then asked also to become one of the mobilizer during this campaign in 2014 with the late Kanji, the councillor Kanji, you know. So, and there we are more touched because then that time is campaigning for the president, and you remember there was those buses with his face on and the colors of the party, you know, and we were running all over Namibia, all on the regions, you know, and it was so powerful that the music was accompanying, and it is very a pity that artistically, as you speak about music, music is a liberation of Namibian freedom. You see, music like the late Jackson Okoyewas, you know, the Limanis and Exiles, you know, the Tatekwelas, and even graphic art, you know, like printing on T-shirts, you know, artists were the most valuable people during our struggle. Although that when we get independence, we did not get cultural independence, where art and music can be seen as equal opportunities, for artists to live with it. So musically, Hage was the youth in his heart as music. So he was the rhythm of music within himself. So you'll see when the children coming there and they dance, he's in there with the young people, even if he goes on the stage where the Liman is performing. So his heart was a very good feminine heart. As an adult like that, with the masculine, he could level himself as a man to the youth. So and it's also what, as Namibian musicians, came up with that My Namibian, My Pride, that song that was performed at the Independence, Day. It was during his time, so where artists was also given that privilege to be recognized and acknowledged, And it's something that we will miss as Namibian people, And I don't see that we must miss him as a president, but for me, we must miss him as the son of the soil, the warrior of the soil. Understand, because he started many years ago, to be in exile, just to liberate and for us to have independence today, despite of what difficulties within themselves and the politicians are. Sometimes we must look at the heart of a person, not in the political movements of the Western culture. Politics is a Western culture, it's not ours, So I think that is what was my experience. I've learned that he was a man of himself. When you become yourself, you become weird to people. So to me, he was a weird president because he was himself, Although that in our cultures as young people, we think we need to respect an elder. Our elder must respect himself, how he behaves in front. But you can't take away the child within the child. As elders, we are also children. So he was a free child in himself, And if you listen to one of the clip where he said that, because I think they were asking him about who is he going to elect to become the next president, In that clip he says, when the time have come, this moment time, if it comes, I will, because these days I'm not very well, I'm a sick person. So visionally he knew. And for Namibians, it's what we have to learn today, That's all I can say from my experience as a musician. You see, as Namibians, I always feel like an artist and like a natural Namibian child, as an Ubuntu child, that whatever we have to see as a legacy in Namibian or a message to them is that despite of who we are a diverse culture in this country. Our differences, does not have to divide us to our similarities. Understand? So it is very important that the new generation and the new leaders that are left, it's a lesson to them to see that some of us thought that when we got the flag in 1990, the flag, the importance of the flag, is that we will not have different political parties anymore in this country, but have one nation, one people. So the accountability is what lacking in our generation. You see, is to account the project of the people. You see, the people who live in Havana, people who live in Geingob, people who live in farms, people in Wahanas, people in Matahoe, people in Kavango, you see, Epukiro, Aminas, Kakarara. So that's what must be the change, that people must look at those people. They are people that they fight for, not the politics of the belly, So I think the message to my people is that it's a time now for us to unite as the rain is falling and the air is open, the big leader is fallen. It's the first time for Namibian to experience a big leader, meaning the president to fall. You understand? So this is a lesson for us to learn. As much he was younger than the former president, Tate Kurunuyoma and Tate Kurupohamba, Fikepunye, as a young one was taken, silently stolen from us. It's maybe to teach us a lesson as Namibian, that it is now time for us as Namibian to bring the flag of Namibia as unification of Namibian people. You see, it's not about only getting a flag when there's a celebration or there's a death or like the sports, those things. It's when we acknowledge the flag. We need to embrace the flag from today. I think for the legacy of my Tatekuru, Hage, is that all Namibians must now embrace the flag, even in their houses, in front of their houses, small flags in Namibia, that we carry the flag of the liberation struggle, the waters that, that's the country, the brave. So, and the other thing is that it is also time for us as Namibian people, talking about politicians. If we really know what we want for this country, so why do I rule and divided by political parties? That is an inheritance that we inherit from the Western cultures. We are African people. As African people, we have to start respecting our traditional kings, traditional authorities, That's are things that we have to look at now for this country. We have to go back even to look at traditional spiritual people, our cultural heritage. Because as much we have a Ministry of Arts and Education, arts and education, it's supposed to be like that, but now it's education, arts and culture. Then maybe culture will be first. It will not be a stepchild like it is today. We're in a free country, but our arts and culture is not in our children's schools, it's not in the foundation. But still, we are enslaved mentally by the Western education within our society. So why are we having culture? Why are we using our own people, our artists and cultural dancers and craft people as bubblegum? Why do you use them like bubblegum? So this is a time for us to value each individual in Namibia and also to value each leadership from the top. The accountability in this country must start from the top. That's why even a cleaner can do anything in this country, despite of what, because knowing that even the minister or the director or the ED or the HODs or the principal does not do or adhere to the rules, of this country, their accountabilities. So we're having a country that is falling apart because of accountabilities. If accountabilities was there, I don't think that we have a problem in Namibia, because we are a small population, a very rich country, a very powerful country, a blessed country. We are in this moment mourning with what? With the blessings of water, because we are a dry country. The tears. In my culture, as a child that grew up with elders who always listened to my ancestors, is that for me, the lion, Omes, his footprints is been wiped away by the rain. That's how they're calling. The big person in our culture is always greeted by the rain. And for him, as much as we cry, the tears is already been washed by the earth itself. Understand? Yeah. That's what I can tell you about that. So other thing I want to say about, as a natural being, is that I just want to say that the sign of the soil above the waters have fallen. And us as Namibian, underneath the earth is shaking. And the ancestors will receive him. And he have to do one thing for Namibians as our ancestor coming from the earth of Namibia and meeting all our leaders. Oseakuta, Kosamur Maharero, Toivo, Hendrik Vetboy, you understand? The likes of Kachimwine, is the likes of Kadenambos, the likes of Abraham Yambo. They must now meet as the counselors of the ancestors to spread a very powerful spirit of unity within Namibians, for Namibians to love themselves. If you start to love yourself, you can start loving ourselves. So we need that silent spiritual healing in our people, inner healing that we are not healed as Namibian, as this country, this nation. That's why we have a loss of many men dying, young men dying. We have a loss of people don't have employment. They say it's a hard working, not have employment. The employment is there. What we don't have is very good advisors who have the heart of Namibia to foresee that plantation, the land is big, the youth. When you are a father, you have to decide for the nation to come, not to have a mercy on your own children. That if we realize that education cannot cater all of this generation, so we have to have a plan B. where we take them to agriculture, because on this world you can only live because of food, and the one that controls food controls human beings. So if we can change on that and also look on our cultural norms and value that our culture can do to develop this country, is very important on that case. Understand? Yeah. So it is time for Namibia to become one. One nation, that we lying to ourselves that we are one Namibia. No. We are only Namibians because of the flag, despite of you are a Damara, a Nama, a Caprivian, and Kavango, a Buster, a Boer, a Dutch, what nation I did not call, a Herero, and all that Namas, and the son, the owner of the land. If we could see that that is not what is tribalism to us as Namibia, but seeing as that you can only be a Namibian when that language is spoken in this continent, in Namibia. So when that spirit comes in Namibian people, then we'll have a very good spiritual and a very, very restful ancestors who are gonna rest for what they were fighting for us. Understand?
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and its local partner, the Council of Churches in Namibia, the CCN, was in charge of the repatriation of nearly 44,000 Namibians. They established an elaborate system of 6 reception centers and 65 secondary reception centers across the nation to temporarily accommodate the returnees. In addition, a tracing system and food rationing program was also set up to cater for those returnees who needed it.
It is good to be back home. Our coming home today is a harbinger of the demise of over 100 years of colonial subjugation. It is the love for the motherland and the conviction in the ability of our people to one day free themselves from colonial bondage that has kept alive and burning in us the candle of hope during the long years of exile. Today, as we arrive back on the soil of our forebears, the land of Maharero, Ipumbu, Mandume, and Betwe, we remember the fallen heroes and heroines of our revolution.